Hello there. Another set of Brexit negotiations starts tomorrow, but the clock is fast running out to agree on a deal. Is this crunch time? Firstly, please subscribe and like this video to give my channel a boost. And I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back daily. And a big thanks to my Patreon and PayPal supporters. There are now only 94 days to go until the Brexit implementation period ends on the 31st of December. But there are only 33 days until the end of October, which was the Brussels deadline to get the deal through the EU bureaucracy on time. But there are only 17 days until the 15th of October, which is the Boris Johnson deadline, or we walk with no deal, with enough time to finish off the no-deal preparations. The itinerary for the 9th round of the Brexit talks that starts tomorrow looks just like all the past ones. The level playing field, governance, fisheries, etc., etc., etc. All the old favourites. And the talks end on Thursday afternoon, followed by a chief negotiators meeting on Friday morning. So unless one side cracks and undermines their whole previous negotiating stance, we have to assume that the talks will end with no deal looming ever closer. And the Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin has now warned that the UK is headed for a no deal. Talking to the I, he said, "I'm not that optimistic, if I'm honest. Just to let you know that the government is preparing its budget in 3 weeks' time on the basis that there will be a no-deal Brexit. That's the basis on which we're preparing the budget, and we're warning and alerting businesses to that terrible reality. I think progress has been slow in the talks so far. I think there is still potential for a deal. I believe a deal is the sane and sensible thing to do, and I think all of us as politicians have an obligation to those we represent. And in terms of Brexit, that means the least damage possible to workers, to employers, and to business and the economy." Now, with time getting short, there is a chance that some sort of accord will be reached, and then there'll be talk of the tunnel. That's the secret period of negotiations where things are wrapped up before being presented to the world. And if we do go into the tunnel, we'll know that it's either just a very limited agreement or one side has caved in. But although some people are touting this week's meeting as the showdown, somehow I don't see that happening quite yet. The wire may still be a couple of weeks away. And according to the BBC's Laura Koonsberg, UK government sources are supremely relaxed about how things are going. Speaking on the Today programme, she said, "The choreography has got so much in common with last year. A period of histrionics, a period of briefings, a period of provocations, a little progress, stand back and repeat for a couple of months. As we get to the end of the year, but more crucially as we get towards the EU summit in the middle of October, there is more of an expectation around the place. In fact, some ministers are quietly, one has said to me they are supremely relaxed to the negotiations grinding on over the next couple of weeks, and things will be resolved in the middle of next month. But there is a danger that they are being too complacent, as there are still sticking points." Sticking points. I suppose that's one way to refer to whether or not the UK retains its sovereignty. And the UK Brexit negotiator, Lord David Frost, has told Brussels to ditch their impossible demands, as well as saying that a deal is still possible but far from certain. The Express quotes Lord Frost saying, "As we enter the final stages of negotiations, we are all focusing on what it might take to get a trade agreement in place. An agreement is still very much possible, but equally very far from certain. The last 2 weeks of informal talks have been relatively positive, but there remains much to be done and time is short. We have been saying from the beginning of this process that we simply want a standard free trade agreement like Canada's. Sadly, the EU's position has not been so straightforward, and we continue to be asked to accept provisions which do not reflect the reality of the change which our exit from the EU brings. If the gaps in these areas are to be bridged, the EU still needs to scale back more of its unrealistic ambitions and work on more realistic policy positions. I hope this will be possible in the coming week, and my team and I are ready to work as hard as necessary to move things forward. But former Deputy Prime Minister David Lidington, remember him, has called for Boris to cave in and accept the EU state aid rules, something he calls perfectly routine. How can placing your country's ability to help its own economy under the power of another state be routine? The final arbiter in any EU law-based state aid scheme will always be the EU's very own ECJ. And Lidington took a swipe at the UK by telling The Independent, "Both sides stand to lose from a no deal, but the UK more than the EU because we are the smaller party." So what's he saying? That the UK should roll over to any country that is geographically or economically larger than we are? Does that mean if the US demands we take chlorinated chicken, then we have to? Or that we must now use Huawei equipment because China is bigger than us? David Lidington also said that the UK should just sit and talk and hope to get a deal instead of being so adversarial. It's a belief that you need to be very aggressive, very in your face, demonstrate that you're willing to walk away from the table in order to get the best outcome. I prefer the Cameron-May approach. You never leave the table. Be dogged, keep on bashing away until you hope you reach an acceptable compromise for both sides. The May approach almost landed the UK with total subservience to the European Union, and she has since made it very clear that she would never have countenanced the UK breaking free of that vassalage. Approaches like that we can do without, thank you very much. But the hard stance that the UK has taken over the last few months does seem to be bearing fruit, even with Brussels moaning about the UK Internal Market Bill and its clauses that limit the EU's power to control our economy going forward. The Eurocrats had even announced that they'd walk away from the talks if those clauses weren't removed. But the news just coming out is that Brussels has backtracked on its threat to exit the negotiations unless the UK Internal Market Bill was amended to remove those withdrawal agreement busting clauses. And this might be driven by the desire not to be seen as the party that walked away first, something that might give the UK leverage in any future disputes. Equally, it might be down to the EU's desperate need for access to the City of London for post-Covid funding, something that the UK doesn't seem to have made enough of during the talks. Or maybe that's all been made quite clear in the background. Whatever the reason, it does indicate that the no-deal scenario is something the EU is petrified of. Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it by following the link in the descriptions box below and support me on Patreon or PayPal. So what do you think about this? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.